Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to Demolished Doctrine, the beginning of the end of religions. Your wishes reflect in myriads back, Richard. That's very sweet. If I have good wishes. If. I think I do. I don't like this earth, replies our dying son. Compared to what? I think I take it for what it is. There's a lot of beauty and there's a lot of ugly in this earth. And I think both the beautiful and the ugly can bring us together in some sense of brotherhood and sisterhood. If we're brave enough. If it doesn't destroy us. Compared to best possible world. Peace and respect, PJ. Feel free to hit the link at the top. And I'm going to say this several times during the broadcast. Peace and respect, Hillary's emails. I've also put a GoFundMe for Remember Sammy Jenkins. Because he has a daughter who is very, very ill. She's still strong. She has a good chance at beating what is an aggressive cancer. But she's so young, she's only like 4 feet tall. And, no medical system is perfect. And she needs help. Now, you may not be able to financially donate yourself, but you can still help the cause of helping that child by taking that GoFundMe link and putting it everywhere that you can. I already have. I wish that you would. Not that I think that is going to change the plan of God. And I do believe that part of the plan of God is suffering, and in that suffering we build compassion and empathy, brotherhood and sisterhood, which I think is necessary for a utopian society that would be called heaven, which is another possible world, this heaven. Of course, I can only show that it's theoretically plausible and logically consistent. I cannot show that it exists at all. And that's the free choice part. Can't prove it. Boy, I love coffee. Yeah, I think if we assume that this world is supposed to be... Remember, I was a child and I said to my dad, that's not fair. And apparently I had an overdeveloped sense of what is justice and what justice should be. And of course I was right. The thing several times I object to was not fair. My dad said to me, who lied to you and told you that life was supposed to be fair? Wow. It's not supposed to be fair. Peace and respect, Mac the Human. I know that now. Un otro mundo es posible. But I kind of said that with a French accent because I don't know what possible sounds like in Spanish. excuse my... it would have been funnier if you wrote it in French. And then it said, excuse my French. That would have been even better. Too late now, I've ruined it. You're probably at work, Mac, so I wouldn't even ask you to come in. You at work, Hillary's? Come on in if you like. Link is at the top of the side chat. Better than this one, Mac. Oh, you're asking Mac. I'll be silent on it. Peace and respect, Wild Hearts Peepee. And Nerdy Rodent. And Sean, my darkened understanding. Peace and respect to you all. Grassy Ass. Wild Hearts PP. Von Eric. Blessings to you as well. Peace and respect. What are we talking about here? I wonder about the long-term effects of human manipulation of their physical environment, resulting in new evolutionary aspects of human beings. I wonder about that. Peace and respect, Raven and Harple Blues. Yes, Raven, I saw Wildheart this morning on the Ace Theo channel. And peace and respect, Ox. I didn't see you there. Sorry about that. So he's sober, and he's got some fatness of flesh. And he looks better than I've seen him, actually. And I'm very glad to see that. Perhaps jail's good for Wildheart. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, Ace Theo channel, yes. Peace and respect, Clout. How are ya? Yeah, afternoon where you are, but not everywhere, right? He's chubby now. Yeah. There's probably a lot of starch in prison food, yeah. I'm sure he was just in what they in the United States would call it a jail, where it's like low security, you're not going to be there very long. You know, that sort of thing. And in those kinds of facilities, although the food is cheap, there's enough to sustain you. And not too many, seriously violent long-term offenders would be in that kind of an environment. I'm sure he was in a kind of a cushy jail. Ed, I don't know any Ed. Ed, would you please hold up 3 fingers on your left hand for me so I know you're not like somebody fake person? Thank you so much, Ed. You feel free to turn off your camera or leave it on, whichever, bringing you in 5, 4. Peace and respect. How are you, Ed?
Peace and respect. I'm fine, thank you. You can hear me right? Yes?
Yes, you sound okay.
Perfect.
Do you go by any other names that I might know you by aside from Ed?
Yes, I'm the Our Dying Sun in your chat.
Old Lang Syne. Is that what you'd said?
No, I said I'm the Our Dying Sun in the chat.
Old Dying Sun. Okay. Our Dying Sun. Yeah, okay. Interesting name. What made you select that?
I don't know. It was a spur of the moment kind of thing. I don't know. After that, I found out that there is a metal band named Our Dying Sun, which is even more cooler.
That makes your name even better that you have a band named after you.
Exactly. Yeah. I just want to say that I'm very glad that you have managed to draw a good crowd around you, and you made yourself a good channel in here with a nice audience.
Yes, they are, and you're part of that, and I thank you for being part of that. I want intelligent people who are not unable to learn new things. That's what I look for.
That's the hardest part, isn't it?
By the way, I'm having a little trouble with your accent. I'm going to adjust over time. It usually takes me good 15 minutes. Just so you know, if I misunderstand something, that's not your fault. It's how rigid my brain is.
No. It's totally my fault.
No, no, your English is good. And by the way, your grammar and spelling in side chat, I never would have guessed that you didn't naturally speak English. I never would have guessed that.
I was on your stream before. You don't remember me, isn't it?
No, I do not remember.
Oh, I was so drunk. I
Oh,
was on your
wait. I remember that. Yes. Okay.
I was on your stream for 4 hours, and I don't remember. I remember only the first 2 hours.
That's okay. That's okay. Humans are like
You,
that. I accept humans as they are.
you did the stream for like 8 hours once, and I was half on it, and I rewatched it after that, and I wasn't very bad, but I was sluggish.
You became frustrated after about 3 hours. Although the first 2 hours were very good, I thought. I'm remembering now, if I remember correctly, you were asking me a lot of questions about my belief system, and
Yeah.
then as other people came in, it became more and more convoluted, more choppy, and you became maybe disinterested in furthering the conversation at that time. Is that
I
all
def-
right?
I yeah. No, I was drunk. That's the truth of it, and I'm sorry for that. I apologize.
I don't know why you would apologize.
No, because
Uh, I deeply appreciate it. Thank you.
okay.
But nothing
Oh,
nothing to apologize for. I've heard of people being drunk before. I've heard of this. I have, so it's okay. Um, the only thing that I would discourage in someone being very altered is because I'm at some point I'm not engaging with the person that they are,
mhm.
and
But
they're not going to remember the conversation, so it's not really progressive.
do you do you think that when we are under these altered mental states, on drugs or on alcohol, do you think we are more of us or less of us than we are sober?
Okay, my actual opinion on that is we are more honest and forthcoming normally.
Hmm.
However, we're not as intelligent as we normally are, or not as organized.
Yes, we lose.
So
Yeah, we
it's a
win,
give
but
and
we lose.
take. We lose our social structures, which might be better, but
Mhm.
then but then our thoughts become disorganized and more dreamlike, and it's hard to understand someone speaking from a dream.
Speaking from a dream.
It's as if they're becoming into a dream the more inebriated they are. That's the way I
Huh.
see it. It's like you're going into more like a subconscious state,
Oh,
and you're more honest, sure, but I can't understand what the heck you're talking about if it goes far enough because I don't have your brain.
but if you go into a more subconscious state, are you more aware of your autonomous bodily? Are you aware more of your body or of your mind?
Okay, I only have experience with alcohol, so I can only speak from that, and
Yeah,
I think they're
me too.
different depending on what the I'll say drug because they're all drugs. What the drug is. Um, so in it, when I have been altered by alcohol, I was more of a brain floating around in my environment, seeing people, than I was my body.
Mm.
It's like my eyes and my ears. This part of my brain that's represented physically here was me, and I didn't really have a body. Is how I perceived it often.
Okay. So you shelled yourself inside yourself in a
But
way.
I've known of people who've used other drugs and said they were very much in touch with those not themselves and very detached from self. And in those kinds of experiences, I've heard people say, I had an experience of loss of self and an idea of oneness with everyone and everything. so that I was not, they call it ego loss if you've heard that term.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was not me, I was everyone. I've heard that described.
yeah.
Now
Me
I've
too.
experienced that without drugs that that my body can't produce, you know, or don't
Mhm.
produce. Just naturally producing those drugs, I've experienced that kind of thing.
How does that feel like, if I may?
Peace and respect, light and fire. Um, Light and fire, would you speak so I can relax?
Yes, yes. How you doing?
Thank you, Yuri. Thank you. Um, Say again, Ed.
How does it feel to be everyone and not yourself, not just
Overwhelming.
you?
It's really overwhelming. Peace and respect, Ivan Van Veen. That it's part of the reason that I now say peace and respect.
Hmm.
And I can say things like, I am strong enough and confident enough that I can freely love you and not be scared of that.
What does
And
it mean?
those are results of that experience where I felt the love of others from their perspective as some kind of mass experience, like an experience of a mass of love. It's hard to put into English words. Maybe a different language would be better, but that's the only language I know.
Yes, you give um the Higgs boson that gives uh, mass to um, particles.
Yes.
You give mass and weight to the love that you feel through that process. But I'm rambling. What does it mean to love, Richard? Because all sentient beings, animalistic or human or are capable of love to some degree. It's love is a spectrum. It's like a little bit of love, more love is more less caring, more caring. But few of us are capable of manifesting love, which is a different kind of thing. What do you think love is?
Well,
That's the
well, first I
purity.
would give its up. Go ahead, Light and Fire.
Love is purity.
Well, okay. I think love should be pure, but I think in order to be pure, it has to be unselfish and all about the others and not about the self at all. And I think that love is the opposite of fear. And when I was afraid, I couldn't love. And now that I'm not afraid, I can freely love, and that seems to be the difference to me. So that's the opposite of it. And what love is, I think, is deep, empathetic acceptance of the other.
Why should I accept the other? What do I owe to the other? What does the
Nothing.
other owes me?
Passion.
Why the other is important to me?
Passion.
Uh,
Passion.
Yes.
What pa- passion towards what?
For
Passion
the
to
other.
why? I mean, I know why
Purity,
is difficult.
purity and passion. That's love.
Purity.
I don't think why is difficult. If I just say I am a prejudice speciest in favor of humans like myself. So there's some amount of self recognition and self love in my love of others that you are the same as me. And I think that's the end of my justification, that it's just my preference and it's my desire, it's intrinsic a part of me that I can and should love.
Should that uh, should be there?
Yes, I think the should be there. um,
Obviously, darkness has to be there.
if I just am willing to say in my speciesism, in my human exceptionality, there is a desire for social interactions, and that's an intrinsic natural part of me. And if I want good social interactions, then I have a should. So I have a want, then I have a should.
But you see, we decide who we love and who we don't love
Why?
because we do. We
But
don't love everyone.
you search purity. That's why you decide. You look for purity.
So I'm looking at the
You
the
look for
most.
purity with passion,
I'm looking
and
at
you,
the person
dismiss
that can.
darkness.
You guys have a slight delay. Please be patient with
That's
each
okay.
other.
So by purity, you mean that I'm looking at a person that can give me the most that I'm giving back.
Well,
What
not
do you
necessarily. You
mean by
look at
purity?
purity of heart, purity of many things. You know.
By purity of heart, do you mean intentions? Like
Yeah,
the I want the
emotions,
best.
a lot of things. Purity,
Yes,
just yeah,
yes, but
pure.
that implies the
Clean.
stuff that implies the stuff that I give, and I
You
can give
give,
that.
you give passion.
Yes, but I'm interested in what I receive because everyone can give.
You receive purity. That's what you look for.
So you reap what you sow, kind of stuff.
And you get darkness as well.
So it's so if you can get both stuff, even if you give all the best of you, it's a gamble. Like there's a 50-50 probability that you will get the worst of the world, even if you give the best of the world. However, that's why I was saying about that we decide who we love because we recognize the patterns, the signals, the ideas, we recognize ourselves in others, and therefore we manifest the love that they want from us, they need from us, and that and the love that we want to give, because love is different kinds of love, and we love differently different people. Am I encapsulate myself into platitudes? Please let me know. It's always a choice, unfortunately.
I would say that who we love isn't a choice, but how we respond to it is.
Okay, that's better. Do you think you can unlove a person?
Very difficult.
Because I think you can't. Once you love someone, you can't take that back.
I would largely agree, but they can certainly disappoint a person and make me want to become disentangled from them.
Yeah, you can hate them, you can fear them, you can push them away, but you
You're right. You never stop loving them.
no.
You can substitute. You don't have to get rid of that. Basically, the only way you cope with it is by substitution.
Mm.
Yeah, but people are not the same.
Correct.
So that substitution will be will get something more or something less, and if you get something less, will be disgusted.
You would have to change.
I disagree.
That's right.
I think you can unlove someone.
Okay, how?
Or at
How-
least
how
you
does
can
that work?
decide you never loved them. Particularly
Well, that's
Go on.
particularly if what you thought you loved was an illusion.
Can it be an illusion? Can it be a delusion?
Yes, people can be very, very good at pretending to be something they're not.
Okay, I want to split the hairs right there. What if I find out there's someone that they did not represent before that time? Would I still be in love with the delusion? Because I think I would still be in love with the delusion, and I think that's been the case a few times.
Yeah, for me too.
In love or love? And in that case, are you loving a person, right? Because if I can say that you're loving a person, then yes, the moment that you walk away from that, I can say you have unloved someone. Now, can you unlove a delusion? Probably not, because that's something that you found attractive. Like, if that delusion was present in someone else, you would still find it attractive. Therefore, the way you felt about the delusion is real, but the way you felt about that person is wrong. And
Right.
unless you're saying that that's wrong, in which case you can unlove somebody.
I don't think it's possible to unlove someone. I mean, it's kind of like the idea of the third person that's created by two people being in love. There's this third entity there, and that's the thing that you love. And I think you can never unlove that, even if it was never existent. If it never existed in reality, you perceived it as existing at the time, and I think that never ends.
That I can agree with, but let's say your partner, the partner you helped create this with, right, is everything they represented they weren't, right? It doesn't change the love you have for the child, the love you have for the product, the love you have for the growth or whatever you got out of that relationship, right? But if you don't unlove that person, then in that moment you realize you never loved that person.
Sure.
Right? I'm good with that then. Then I can accept that.
But I think the key to all of this is to understand through extreme prejudice and through personal strength and a lack of fear that you can love everyone no matter what they are. And your perception of them is not what decides whether or not you love them.
No, but I can fully admit that with some self-awareness, I understand that I do not love everyone. So, yeah.
I recommend DMT then.
I mean, do we really want to love everyone?
Sure.
What, how would look like a world like that? A
What would a
world.
world
that-
like that look
that-
like?
Mhm.
Wow.
Where
Can't even
everyone
imagine.
was loving everybody.
It
I don't
doesn't
know, don't
matter
get me
if
crying.
everybody loves everybody. That would be heaven, man.
I mean, just the brief thought of it.
By the way, do you think we will still be humans?
In heaven,
we
yes.
If we would love everybody, if we would be incapable of harming each other.
We could still be hominids, but not necessarily Homo sapiens.
Okay.
It's hard for me to think of us as something other than pack animals because we are pack
Well-
animals, which necessitates an other.
The human village.
I don't. I mean, I believe that evolution does happen, and if we became into where we loved all of each other equally, I don't think it would make us something other than we are. It would just be the next change, and I'd be perfectly fine with that as a change in our process. I would not I would not object at all to that.
We would evolve much quicker.
I would not object to it at all, right? Like, I'm not saying it's not a concept I should,
No,
like,
but-
it's definitely a concept I should strive for. It's definitely a concept I should practice.
Now, when you
But
speak
being
of love,
aware of myself, being honest with myself, I can say that there are people I meet that I do not love. I may act loving toward them. I may be polite.
you have
to
to
them,
stop
but I
thinking
do
of
not
love as
love
an
them.
emotion. It's
I
not
do
an
not.
emotion.
Light and fire. I'm going to start muting you if you just keep doing that because I no longer think you have a delay. I think you don't have the patience for a person to finish a thought. I want to discourage that. Although I like you personally, it's generally confusing and it's hard to understand what anyone's saying when that happens, okay? And
Yes,
really,
Father. Don't beat me.
brother. And Pixie, if you would repeat it, because I got so distracted by that occurrence that I have no idea what you were trying to say.
Like, okay, so loving everyone, right? Like, is a concept that I believe we should strive for, and that holds great value. And I treat it as such in the way that I try, and I fail because I'm human, but I try to be respectful of everyone, right? And I try to be civil to those who I even disagree with, right? Like, I'm very open-minded. I don't think I'm very judgmental, but it would be very, very dishonest of me to say that I don't meet people or I don't run into people that I don't love and do not like. Like, I do not love that person. I can act lovingly toward that person. I can be respectful toward that person, but it would be dishonest of me to say I love that person because I do not. And I am self-aware enough to know that I do not love that person.
Even if you despise the person, do you want them to be the best that they can be?
99% of the time. Sometimes I'm like, I'd really love to see that person just like curb stomped, because then maybe they'd learn something. Like, yeah.
But they might learn something.
I can be petty.
But they might learn something if they get curb stomped, right?
Yeah, but I
That
can
would
still
be
be a petty
improvement.
bear. That doesn't mean that I'm like sitting over there being like, oh, I wish I could spare that poor soul that hardship. No,
No,
I'm
you're-
like pointing and laughing and like, do it again.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make. Just because, love can take many forms, and sometimes it's a good butt whooping.
No, that does not come from love. That comes from loathing. And I'm self-aware enough to understand the difference. And I'm a parent, so I understand what the difference between wanting somebody to learn and be disciplined and wanting somebody to fall looks like. Like, I understand the difference. And I'm telling you, I am self-aware enough to know that even though I may not present it as such, even though I may not show such, there are people I do not love.
What do you guys think about the for us to be able to speak and to think and to do all these things with the opposable thumbs and stuff, we had to increase our brain capacity and our brain stuff, and in order to do that we had to eat raw meat, so we had to do a lot of violence. So because of violence and violently acting violently, and even lying increased our and modified our way of thinking, because we have to our intelligence, because we have to assume what it's in the other mind in order to pursue them to do some other stuff, and that's a very intelligent stuff to do. So for us to be what are we today, we had to do a lot of not loving others. So
Okay,
if
before we move on to the social Darwinistic aspect of truth
Okay,
and lies, Light and Fire did want us to talk about something.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, love should be stopped. You shouldn't think of love as an emotion anymore. Love is pure charity. So when you do charity for others, you love them. Instead of feeling emotions, it's not love. It's just your feelings. Separate the feeling of emotion and just do charity.
Well, yeah, I can be charitable or altruistic towards somebody I don't like, but that doesn't mean that I love them, is what I'm saying.
Okay, to Pixie, if you could just open a panel on the back of their head, and there were certain switches there labeled things like agreeability.
Richard, can I just finish, because I stepped aside for a second?
Sorry, I
So,
thought you were. Go ahead.
yeah, 1 second. So once you do charity even for people that you don't love, you might bring something out of that person that you might fall in love with. Okay.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
When you say charity, what do you mean by charity? Do you mean like the Catholic Caritas stuff?
Well, anything could be charity. Sweeping the floor is charity.
That sounds, correct me if I'm wrong, that sounds a lot like a saying that If you want to hate somebody, treat them as if you do, and you will find that you hate them. If you want to love somebody, treat them as if you do, and you will find that you love them. I can honestly tell you that there are times in my life where fake it till you make it has worked, and there are people in my life that fake it till you make it never worked on. They are dead and gone, and I never learned to love them and never will. And that's the honest truth. To say that may make me look like a horrible person, but to say otherwise would make me dishonest. I don't care what excuse they gave. I don't care what atonement they made. I don't care if they apologized or not. I did not love them until the day they died, and I do not love them looking back.
Okay, so you didn't love them. That's fine. If you were an eminent psychologist or psychiatrist and you knew what to say in what order to fix the way that they were thinking and their behaviors changed, wouldn't you opt to do that if you could?
Well, of course, and I could love the outcome, right? But that's not them anymore. That's a new them. I can love a new them. That's fine.
Well,
but them as
now
they
you're
are, I
the-
do not love them.
If I
But
can say something,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna quote Matt Dillahunty for a bit. And he said once that if you value relationships more than honesty, maybe you shouldn't have relationships. Is that worthy?
I think that was for you, Thunderdwarf.
I tend to agree with that because I think without honesty, there's no trust, and without trust, there is no meaningful bond, right? So if you would sacrifice honesty to save your relationship, I think you build a relationship of mistrust and resentment, and you should probably not do that.
Correct. However, we should love everyone, isn't it?
Well, I guess you could say, like, if by love you mean have basic respect for a human life, then sure, yeah, like I can do that. But if by love you mean like any kind of emotion that I feel for people I say I love, then absolutely not. There are thousands of people who will die, and I will not ever love them, not ever.
Stop looking for love, man. Just do charity everywhere you go, and love will find you.
Why should I do charity? Why should I do something that I will never give something back? Like why should I give something to the wind?
Why not?
Because
Why
it
not?
takes
It's not an answer.
resources.
Come on.
Yeah. No, he's
You
completely
gotta
right.
take a leap of faith, man. It's a leap of faith.
If altruism isn't selfish, then it's not real.
Exactly. Altruism is selfish. You do charity for yourself, not for others.
But in tribalism, what's wrong with that?
In tribalism, no. You mean in the human village?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's something that it's good. In the human village, when you help others, your third cousin will help you to do something because you helped something. It's what is it, like 250 people around you? 250, that's the human village. 250 people around you that you know, that's your core.
Probably. Yeah.
So if you help your neighbor tomorrow morning, in 3 or 4 days another neighbor will help you to do something if you need, because that's how it works. But
That's love, man. That's love.
That's what? Sorry.
He said that is love.
That's love. Yes, but would you love the Korean village in the same way that you love your neighbor?
Sure.
Is that
Everywhere
love
you go.
though? Is that love or is that self-interest?
No.
Right,
there's
because
no self-interest in
people say the same thing, like
There's no self-interest in that. You just don't.
Yes,
don't,
there is. Yes, there is. There is self-interest in that.
Well,
Granted, we're social
see,
creatures.
you got to bring
Well,
the darkness into play. So you always.
no,
want to
I'm
bring
saying there
darkness.
is. No, I'm saying we're social creatures, and
Surround
the
us.
one thing we seem to agree on is that breathing oxygen is a good thing, right? It's a good thing. We all want to survive, mostly. Yeah. So, in order to do that, we find little ways that not only help other people but help ourselves. For example, not stealing Joe's rabbit that he just hunted is not necessarily, you wouldn't think that's beneficial to me, right? But it is beneficial to me because if I stole his rabbit, that would mean somebody could come steal my deer, and I don't want that, right? So not stealing is not necessarily altruistic. It's not because it's bad. It's because I don't want it done to me. And these things build up, and interactions like this build up. When you help somebody, it's not necessarily because you're jumping at joy to help them. It could be a sense of obligation, knowing that when you are in need, people will help you because you helped, right? So just because it's charitable or just because it's something you don't like to do doesn't mean it's devoid of self-interest.
Now, if you don't bring that thought into play, if you don't think that way, then the opposite is true. So when you
Really?
yes, because it's the thought that ruins the whole idea. Because
But what if you think that way?
that's the problem. Because that's a selfish thought. You shouldn't be selfish.
Thinking
Why
is a
not be
problem.
selfish?
Selfishness.
Wait, what's wrong with being selfish?
Selfishness leads to darkness.
No,
What-
not
what-
necessarily.
Sometimes it
I
leads
mean-
to survival.
If
Yeah.
if we
That's
are
exactly what it is. It's a physical survival instinct.
if we are family, and we are in that way one as human being, a kind, an animal, when I help me, I help you. And when I help you, I help me. So why does it need to be altruistic?
Well, you don't have to think of it that way. I mean, that's you could think of it, like with that thought behind your mind that hey, if I do something, they'll do it for me. But you won't have any enjoyment in doing what you're doing. But if you just think of doing good for everybody and just out of love towards other people, and don't think of it that you're going to get something. Don't expect to get anything in return. Just do it.
You don't have to expect to receive anything in return for it to be not altruistic. For example, the simple statement of I'm doing it because it makes me feel good means
Yes.
that you're not doing it for charitable purposes. You're doing it because of how it makes you feel. It makes you feel good, which again is a self-interest.
One of the loves of my life told me that love is defined as mutual support. Which I had a problem with that because it takes all the magic out of it. But what do you think about that?
Sweep the floor.
I think it depends on what kind of love you're speaking of. I think most love, I think you can accomplish mutual support without necessarily having love, like an uneasy alliance, right? I think you should have mutual support if you have love, but I don't think that's everything it is. I do think that long-term love is a choice, right? I mean, there are things you have to battle through and things you have to work through, and you have to decide that the other side is worth it, right?
Somebody's
to make
got to
it there.
clean the toilet every week and sweep the floor.
Which I would love to do it if I would be with the love of my life.
Well, just
Right,
do it without
you have to
expecting. See, you want to have something in return. You want to have this love returned to you, but don't expect anything. Just do it, man. And don't put a back thought of idea where I want something back. Just do it.
But I can be a janitor if I want.
Wait, do you know why that works, though? Do you know why just doing it works? It's not necessarily that you're just retraining your mind. It's because the other person subconsciously responds. So when you stop expecting the other person to do these things and you start going out of your way to do things for the other person responds in kind because they've noticed a change, right? So
That's
it's not
why
just
you
about
do it.
retraining your mind. It's about putting something positive forward so that the other person can respond in a positive way. And it takes the choice of two people to make it to the other side. So it is a choice, but it's not even the choice of one person, right?
Yes.
Like it's
You took the word from my mouth. Thank you. And I don't even speak English properly.
Yeah, you ever see the
English
Nike
just
commercial that says "Just do it"?
I think
The
you do
Nike
great.
commercial. Just do it.
Light and fire. Can I ask you what darkness means to you? What do you mean by when you said darkness several times before this stream?
We don't have that much time on this show. I think it'll take up too much time to explain.
It took more than 20 minutes to explain what darkness is.
Well, darkness is darkness. I mean, there's no light in darkness. It's just dark.
Could we say something like darkness is a lack of information to some individual mind, and
Yeah,
general lack of
that could be
information
used
to the overall mind? That
Sure.
kind of
You could-
darkness?
You can refer to darkness. Darkness
Yes,
has
but-
many aspects.
Is there a difference between dark and darkness?
How deep is that darkness? I mean, it could be dark, but dark doesn't mean necessarily complete.
Does it
Darkness.
matter how deep it is?
Oh, yes, it does.
Why? Can you feel it?
Well, the darker it gets, I mean, it can get really dark.
So it's dimming dimmer and dimmer and dimmer until it's completely dark.
Complete darkness and no light at all. So dark
you are
is
giving
kind of
me-
you still have light. Dark is still kind of there's some light somewhere. But in complete darkness, there's complete absence of light.
But my question, I mean, I'm sure you know that. My question was in relation to love, and because you said something that if you don't love others, if you don't do charity, you receive darkness. If I'm not mistaken, it says something like that. I'm paraphrasing you. What
Well,
do you mean?
the reason that you have this confliction of charity and then the selfishness is because of the darkness side of human nature, the physical aspect. Now, if you remove the darkness out of your existence and just do it, just don't
How?
think of yourself. Just think like you got to understand what darkness is.
You couldn't explain it to me.
Yeah,
So
he asked you.
You have to. There's many aspects. Hold on, I got to get these notes together. I can't just give you a definition
How
of
about
one
this?
word and expect you to know all of it.
I have a suggestion as to what darkness might be. It's a lack of acceptance of truths. It seems evident in my life that where I've accepted truths, I can adjust my actions and I can act appropriately and I have success. And that success makes my life easy. So it's darkness that causes failure. It's enlightenment that causes success. Enlightenment, acceptance of truth.
Well, then I would say darkness is an absolute requirement because one learns through failure.
Yes.
Darkness, the way I perceive it, well, at this point, it's ignorance.
I think you have to see some amount of the darkness that's in you in order to improve. Like Thunder Dwarf said, it is your failures that cause you learning, and that is growth.
Your ignorance that you are selfish brings you into darkness.
your ignorance of being selfish, you said?
I don't think it was ignorant of me.
Your conscious ignorance. So when you're
I don't
when you
think it was
consciously
ignorant.
don't recognize yourself being
No,
selfish.
I'm pretty sure if I was
being
ignorant, if I was ignorant of my flaws, I would have said, "Oh yeah, I'm great at loving everybody." The fact that I said I recognize in myself that I do not love
Precisely.
everyone shows that I am not ignorant of my flaws. So I guess you need a new theory.
One more time.
I said if I was ignorant of my flaws or what you perceive as my selfishness, I would have said I am great at loving everyone. The fact that I recognized my flaw and said I understand that I fall short of this and do not love everyone is evidence that I am not ignorant to my flaws. Therefore, you need a new theory.
A theory of what? I don't consider you
Darkness.
ignorant.
Theory of darkness.
Well, it's the actions of ignorance that bring you into darkness.
Do you think we act?
Perhaps you need a new
ignorant?
definition for the word ignorant.
Yeah.
Darkness brings you to darkness. Darkness.
How
of
about
darkness
this?
brings you to
Choosing darkness can bring you into further darkness. If I say I'm done learning, I will become more ignorant over time.
But you see, Richard, we don't choose our beliefs. We are the product of our environment in some way. We are the product of our past in a way. Do we choose to go blind into darkness? Do we really
Sometimes.
do that?
Sometimes people do. But you are aware that you're not aware of all things. Yes, Ed?
Yeah.
So if you look for things you're unaware of and you choose to learn them, will that change you?
If I look for things that I'm unaware of
Mm-hmm.
and I choose to learn them,
When you find them,
yeah,
will that change you?
of course it will.
Okay,
But
then you
the-
choose what you believe.
No. The things that I found that I find, I will put in the big picture and fill the puzzle. So I still don't choose what I believe.
Well,
The mainframe is there.
I think you can
just
choose.
fill the gap.
I think you can choose what knowledge to add to your beliefs, but I don't
That's
necessarily
better.
think that once I process the information, my reaction to it is an absolute choice, right? I can be I can be repelled by something, or I could admire something, right? And that is not determined by me seeking the knowledge. That is determined by how I process the knowledge I have found.
Everyone say hello to the wordsmith, Pixie Storms. Well done.
How about you create your own delusion by being ignorant?
Deliberately?
Usually not.
No,
Usually,
you
the
are,
reason it happens is because you are ignorant and you're not recognizing that you're deluding your own understanding.
you are led to your delusions. You do not choose to be deluded.
Well, you draw conclusions when you approach a situation and you observe it and you listen and you smell and you feel or whatever you're doing, and with the senses, you step into this situation and then you make your own conclusion in your own with your own intelligence in your own mind. You
Okay.
have to understand. Don't be ignorant that the mind and the emotions. This is all physical aspect of
We're gonna go into solipsism and the brain in the vats kind of stuff.
We've been
If you're gonna go
dancing
forward.
around it pretty good, avoiding it.
I know.
Everyone here.
So, Light and Fire, how do you differentiate between imaginary and reality? How do you say this is imaginary?
how do you separate the spirit from the body? Is that what you're
No,
asking?
no. How do you differentiate between imaginative things that you imagine in your head and
Just-
the reality?
When you first approach a situation, close your eyes for and count to 10. Just stand there, close your eyes, complete darkness, and just count to 10 and ask yourself, am I being ignorant?
But the imaginative things happens behind your eyes most of the times.
Just
So
10 seconds.
closing your eyes, I don't think
2,
it helps.
3, 4. It'll bring you into a different state of alertness.
Okay.
Most
So-
people never would even do that because they make quick decisions. Usually the quick decisions are not always the best, but it all depends how prepared you are for what you're experiencing.
I don't want to be pejorative or what's the word for that. But if you see a purple tree tomorrow morning in your front yard and you close your eyes, is that gonna help differentiate the imaginary from reality to you? And count to 10?
Purple what? What did you say? Purple?
If
Tree.
you see a purple tree with ice cream fruits,
Okay. Well, I would think, have I consumed any kind of mushrooms or something like that? Have I ate some kind of hallucinogenics?
You would have
I
known that.
well, not always.
Cosmological, your YouTube is still streaming. Could you please shut down the YouTube for StreamYard instead? Thank you.
If I woke up to a ice cream tree, I wouldn't want to close my eyes and be
Exactly.
like,
No, but how do you make stuff real?
Do you have problem with the differentiating reality from not reality? Do you have a problem with that?
I want to live in reality. I want to live in the real world, and I do not want to live behind my closed eyes for 10 seconds.
Well, what happens when you close your eyes? Do you see things, or is it darkness?
You always see things.
You always see things?
Yes.
I do.
When you close your eyys, you still see stuff?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah,
you do.
it's
imagination.
hues of purple and black and orangish yellow swirling together in
That's
different
a
pattern
problem.
forms.
That's actually a problem. You shouldn't see anything. You should be completely
Sometimes I just see the pink because of the light filtering through my eyelids, you know?
right?
Sometimes
It's-
I see like whole daydreams. Who knows?
It's a natural biological condition called chemical purple staining,
Mhm.
where because I did experience light even with my eyes closed, my brain perceives light from chemical purple staining. So it's biologically shown that what I'm experiencing is what people experience.
So to make sure that your experience is compatible with reality, you talk with other people and you ask them about stuff that you experienced, and if they experienced the same stuff that you experienced, you regard
That's
the
good
stuff
evidence.
that you are
Actually,
in reality.
I want to expand more on when you close your eyes. Well, yeah, you see reflections of light that were there before when you speak of that. But I mean, do you see like an image, or do you still see like reality when you close your eyes? Because you still should be able to just have darkness there, unless you
No,
have
I can have-
light
I-
sources like leaving your memory. Yeah.
I can picture the words of the thoughts going through my head. I can have entire realistic daydreams. I can see all kinds of things when I close my eyes. Just like what you see when you're reading, almost like a movie.
So how do you take a break from it? How do you
You
make your
don't.
mind?
That's
You
How
don't.
do you
I
stop
don't.
your mind?
My
How do you
mind is
stop your mind?
constantly going. It's hard
That's-
for me to sleep because it's hard for me to get my mind to be quiet. It just goes.
YouTube.
that's the human condition. The brain never stops.
Well, I guess I no longer have that problem.
I've actually learned in the last decade to experience both at will. Either one, not both simultaneously. Either one at will.
Yeah, I
At
meditate at
some
times.
point, you have to let your mind rest. You can't constantly have it thought.
Yeah,
and
that's called
constantly
sleep.
Show you. It's also
And it's
called
the thing I've
meditation.
done so far because I'm still alive.
But even in your sleep, you dream, so you're not really resting.
Every night.
Actually, that is how you rest. It's required for you to rest. But just because you don't remember your dreams also doesn't mean that you're not dreaming. That being said,
Cosmological.
so
Sorry. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
Cosmological. Are you Cafe?
No, no.
I remember Cafe. He's the
Yeah,
DMT guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cafe
No,
kept
no.
Icon very close to this.
That is one that I do want to do because everything naturally produces DMT, including humans. And that is one trip that almost everybody who comes out of reports the death of the ego experience.
Yes.
Um,
Michael Stevens from Vsauce did that. If you seen the videos with that. And
Cosmological, your microphone is absolutely terrible. And if you're being ignored, it's because no one can hear what you're saying and it's barely working. Okay? So no loss of love. It's just we can't hear you.
oh,
can
I am
see
so
that you're
sorry if I
talking.
spoke over you.
No, their microphone is just trash. It's not your fault. Probably not their fault either.
cosmological argument. That sounds like
Okay, but I can
Muslim.
remember or not.
That's a little better.
Yes.
Yeah, because I wasn't talking. It was just like some air in the mic.
Okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, but I just wanted to know what are you discussing? Like, what are you guys talking? I thought
We
you
were
talking about
discussing the possibility of altruistic behaviors and social Darwinistic with repercussions within human condition, and what is love.
Yeah,
But it's
I was more
love,
interested
baby,
in
don't hurt me.
I'm more
Like
interested in religious discussions. Like what do you think? Does God exist or not?
Well, it
think
he
depends
exists?
on the person's definition of God, whether or not that
No, it's
God
not
is even
necessary.
plausible. What's that?
Yeah, we don't have to say that. I think you get by definition what I mean by God. Like, you don't have to say, "Oh, this it's just the creator of the universe." You don't have to define it.
So
Do
a
it.
demiurge? That's what it is in Greek. It's called demiurge. And yeah, I believe that.
The
No, I'm
creator?
saying
I don't
let's
believe
just
in a
say this.
creator.
We don't have to say attributes. Like, we don't have to say his attributes or. But yeah, it's true. Also, what he says is true. Like, demolish is true. But I just hate that whenever I talk about God and people know what I'm talking about, they say that we got to define God first. But it's not.
Well,
But
I
I
think
think the
everyone on the
reason we
panel
have
has
to
a different idea of what God
Well,
is.
I think the reason we have to define God is because when we're speaking of it, right, one side is defending it and the other side is saying it's not logical. But unless we know what kind of God you're talking about, we can't address why,
Correct.
right?
I know how to avoid that.
Because there's a difference between an omni God and the God of an open theist. There's a difference
Right.
between what a Hindu would describe as God and what a Buddhist would describe as God. So if we don't know what God is to you, we don't even know what is being addressed at the moment.
It's best if you just put a name on God. That'd be the easiest way to do it.
I bet £10 for Allah.
10 pounds for Allah. See, now I know exactly what that means. I'm fine. Now I could address you within your context and easily be able to talk about what that means. Because God is a very generalistic term, as Thunder Dwarf was pointing out, and it almost has no explanatory power.
Correct. God isn't the word God in English the old word for good in German, in ancient German, isn't it? So it's
Yes.
the ultimate goodness kind of stuff.
I don't know. I just say I have no God. That
Oh,
seems easy enough.
you don't have ultimate goodness in you?
I don't have any gods. There is nothing that I find divine or worship.
Oh, worship. That's another thing that bugs my brain. What is
Yeah,
worship?
I don't worship anything. I don't have any gods. No.
That's funny because I'm a theist who doesn't worship anything.
No, wait. That's irrelevant if you don't worship. Like, but still believing God, right?
If you still loving God, does
No, I'm
he
saying-
know that you love him?
I know what you all worship. You all worship food.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
have no
actually,
choice.
I have a very complicated relationship with food. It doesn't like me very much, but that was a nice try.
The raging
Okay,
atheist
guys,
is in the house.
We seriously are wrapping this up, but I want to give some floor space in this order to Rage, and then, of course, Goober P.
Hey, what's going on? I just saw you were streaming, so I hopped in.
Came out demolish. Can we know why Thunder says that she doesn't believe in God, or before we wrap it up, or not? Can we know the reason?
I'm sorry, I caught part of that. Something
You
about
want-
me saying that I don't believe in God. You're right. I'm a non-theist. I am not
What-
convinced of any gods.
Okay. Why are you not convinced?
Why don't you believe in Santa? Why don't you believe in Santa Claus and leprechauns and rainbows and dragons and fairies? Why don't you
No,
believe
just-
in it?
Well, that's
Just say it. Just say it if you would, Pixie. Take the time and trouble, please. We're closing it down, but please take the time.
Because when I look at religion, any religion, even in my most honest and desperate searches, I've never seen God speaking to man. I've always seen man constructing a God, and I don't find that convincing.
Okay, but God could exist, but Santa Claus cannot exist.
Well, then God has never chose to show himself to me, and that's not a me problem at this point. And that's as simple as I can put it.
And
Yeah,
yet,
but
and yet every winter Santa Claus shows up.
But you know, he doesn't show yourself to you, so it's not actually a problem of him not existing.
No, I mean in any way. He has not made himself known to me in any way. Not by showing
There's
me,
a
not
reason.
by convincing me, not by putting somebody in my path who had a persuasive argument, not by putting people I admired in front of me.
Okay.
If God knows what it would take to change my mind, and he has not
This is
done that,
emotion.
this is no longer a me problem. And we can discuss this at a later date, but he asked me to wrap it up, and I've put it as simply as possible, and I won't listen to you insult me.
Yeah, but I think all of you said is emotional, not rational, or according to.
And with all due respect, I really don't care what you assume it is based on what I said. You don't know my life. We could debate this another time. I won't listen to you insult me.
You'll forgive me,
Yeah.
Thunder Dwarf. Cosmological. When you say of someone you've met the first day that they're only reacting within their emotions and they're not being logical, it's very, very assumptive. Because you know Pixie Storms maybe 20 minutes. Pixie Storms is one person out of two out of all the logical arguments I've ever had my entire life who beat me.
What is
Okay?
Pixie Stones like?
She
What is
actually
that?
out-logicked me. And that's impressive.
Yeah.
So don't say you're being an
No, no.
emotional person. She's
No,
just not.
I'm not saying emotion. I'm saying she's making emotional arguments, like all of this called emotional arguments in logic.
Wait.
Well, I'm getting
So-
emotional because you're making assumptions and you're being insulting.
No.
Look,
She says that
if
what
I
she's saying,
say I'm an empiricist,
that he didn't,
and
that he
I've
didn't show
never
himself to
seen
me.
physical evidence to a thing enough to convince me that that thing is plausible, then I'm not making an emotional statement. I'm saying I haven't seen enough evidence for it.
There's no way you could prove a God exists, and if you could prove a God exists, there's no way you could prove it's worthy of worship.
Well, I think you could prove that one existed. I mean, if
And you can't
came
prove-
down in a spaceship,
You can't prove
I'd
it's
say
Allah
that
or
there
Yahweh
is.
either.
Yeah, you have the contingency argument, for example. Like the universe depends on things. The universe exists, and
I'll put it this
Yeah.
way: God doesn't exist, but if it
Everything-
did, it isn't worthy of worship. I don't
Exactly.
understand why any of you worship
The
this
Abrahamic God.
thing.
I think
Well, the
think we
Christian
should establish-
conception of the Abrahamic God.
we should establish first that he exists, then we can talk about whether he's worshipped.
Do
Because
you
this is
deny
totally-
that there's a sun in the sky every morning?
Oh, don't do that, Light and Fire. No, that's totally a topic change. Please, next time.
Yeah.
All right, thanks
I
for
think it
stopping
just-
by, everybody. I want to collect your wrap up thoughts because I have a short amount of time left and I have something else I promised to do. Although I've really enjoyed all of you, and I thank you for adding to me personally, whether you did it on purpose or by accident.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's
no
start with
problem.
cosmological argument. Would you wrap up your
Yeah.
thoughts? I'm sorry you didn't have much time.
Okay, all I'm saying that they have no proof. Like their arguments are not convincing, saying that he does not exist. But actually, we have more. Like, okay, all I'm saying that they have no proof for what they're saying. So that's we
Okay.
cannot support their claim. So,
Okay,
yeah, they
well,
cannot
I
back
didn't
up-
hear any a request for any evidence, nor did I hear any evidence given. So for now, you're right; they don't have any proof.
Neither do
Rage.
you.
Rager, the floor is yours, brother Rage. Thanks for stopping by, Rage, even if it was
yeah.
real quick.
Yeah, I just saw that you were streaming, and man, I came into
I love
to
you
a God
too, man.
question. So yeah, I'm not doing nothing. I just got out of work. So
Does that mean you got the new job?
yeah, I started a new job.
Hey,
That's-
congrats,
that's why-
brother. I hope
that's
you
why I
hate
haven't
it.
been streaming. Yeah, already.
Hope you learn to hate it soon. Yeah, that way it's a real job and you know it. Hillary's.
I'm not sure. I want to say something to Cosmo, but I don't want to like take too much time. But you started off with a belief question, and then you changed to you need to prove something to me, burden of proof. If I was Pixie, I would have said evidentialism, but you know, once you demonstrate something, then I'm willing to accept it. So peace and respect.
Thank you, Hillary's Ed.
Oh, me. Oh, thank you for having me. I'm just your average guy around here. Thank you, and am I gonna see you soon on the other stream? Which stream am I gonna hop on next?
Math Pig. We have the
Math
regular Tuesday schedule, Math Pig, yeah.
There's many streams you can join. Just go to 420 Cafe, man, on Brojo's.
No.
The Smoker's Paradise. Everybody smokes over there.
Most
I
of
do
that
anyway.
is most of that conversation is relatively frivolous, and you get too serious, they'll just start strawmanning your position. I have no interest in being there myself. Light and Fire, wrap up thoughts.
One thing we can all agree on is love, and God is love. So there's my argument to the atheist side.
Love is a god. Sorry.
I think what he said is love is necessary but not sufficient to be God. But I could be wrong on that. My wrapping up thoughts for this, and thank you all so much. I'm indebted in ways to each of you that I really can't. Taylor, you have the worst timing. I'm indebted to each of you in ways that I just can't repay, but I want you to know that I'd like to be able to repay it. Okay? And I love you all. Thank you all so very much. Taylor, I'll let you close it out.
Peace and respect, I guess.
Peace and respect. Till next time, guys. I look forward to the day that we're all great friends.
Bye bye.
An hour-long stream